mix.
Bachelor Nation, will you accept this rose? We love you. Love is in the air. It's magic. 'Cause love is on the air. On TV. So love is on the air. Podcast. It's a podcast. Podcast. Love is in the air. It's magic. 'Cause love is on the air. On TV. So love is on the air. It's a podcast. Featuring Andy, Sarah, and Glenn. Bachelor Pod, it's the Bachelor Pod, it's a podcast about the Bachelor.
Will you accept this podcast?
And so we come to another end of another Bachelor season here on the Bachelor Pod. I don't know about you guys, but I'm happy it's over because it's a long season filled with way too many hours of a show about love. But you know what? We got to do it. That's our job. Our job is to watch it, and our job is to talk about it. Andy, Sarah?
I think I disagree. I could watch it all year.
All year long.
Well,
we love
do,
it.
I guess. We
love it. I could watch it all year. I love watching the show about love. I mean, some kind of icky things kind of happened this season, for sure, which made it harder to watch. Yeah. But it's a bit of a hoot for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a hoot. I'm always just exhausted by the end. And before we dig into all the dirt, what did you guys think of the final week? Were you satisfied? Were you glad the twist? Well, not even a twist, really, but it's how everything turned out. It was very dramatic, as promised.
Yeah, it was really played up, very dramatic.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I could have done without that first 2 hours of the whole thing.
Oof, boy, that was rough.
aside from seeing the parents interact, which I think was the only valuable part of that.
That part was
that part was good. But aside from that, it really, the first 2 hours of the first show, the first 2 of the 5 hours that the show was on.
Yes.
I could have.
It was normal.
Yeah, normal stuff
that they gotta play it.
And at this point, I gotta see them go on another date. Let's just get to it here.
Yeah, that's bad. And it's spinning its wheels. All they're doing is reinforcing whatever the storyline is for each girl.
We know it at this point.
And I never get why they have a fantasy suite 2 days before or whatever, and then they have a family date, and then they have their date, and they don't get another fantasy suite. It's you can have sex one time, and then you gotta get engaged. It's like that other night in a fantasy suite. It just they're leave each other at 5 o'clock as dusk is falling.
And the fact that it's down to 2 at that point makes it probably feel the weirdest about the 2 women knowing that there's another woman, because it's at that point you have to believe that you're the one, and through everything he says, of course, you drop the double "I love yous," which didn't help. But you got to be thinking, how is it the other woman at this point? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And especially this time around.
This time,
if you were either of these women, how on earth do you think it's not you? Just
because not only did he drop "I love you," he dropped "I love you so much." This is when I fell in love with you.
I love you very much.
I love you. I
yeah.
love you.
I love you.
What? Yeah.
Head grab. Love you.
Head grab. I only grab your head. I don't grab her head. I only grab yours.
Your head is my favorite head to grab.
Yuck.
Yuck.
What was the spoiler you guys read on ET Canada? Let's take a rewind to last week. You guys said ET Canada or ET ruined it. So what was the headline that was the spoiler?
That's a great question. I can pull it up in a second, but it was something along the lines of something about Becca being Ari's ex. So Becca being Ari's ex, which indicates that he chose Lauren, so that could be a spoiler, of course, which he ended up doing. But I think it even insinuated that it was that the switch happened. So it was everything. And
because he changes his mind or something.
Yeah, and I gotta say that was brutal on ET Canada's part. I even wrote on Twitter at the author, even though it may well not be the author's choice, because sometimes the editors choose the headlines. But I was like, hey, come on, like that was a pretty brutal headline, you know. I wasn't like so mad or anything. Like she's just a person, she's just a writer. But like still, you know what I mean? Don't spoil it. Come on, what's that all about?
Bad.
Just
Well,
because Reality Steve did doesn't mean you guys now it's okay to just talk about it like it's nothing.
It seemed like it was such big news that happened a lot. I saw it after that too on other sites. Like it was popping up all over the place. People were like not even just saying it was a big surprise anymore. They would give a little detail here and a little detail here. I think it was like such big news, and so many people knew about it at that point that people just thought it was gossip rather than actually being a twist in the show.
I think I was thinking, it was like, I mean, this is a pretty big part of The Bachelor. Like since Mesnick, like they kept reminding us over and over again, nothing like this has really happened. I mean, you could argue Juan Pablo was kind of similar, but this was huge. And I guess my problem with it is that it has to do with these spoilers and like the atmosphere before the show is like they make you really think something big's going to happen, which is fine. But I wish I had gone into that way more blind than I did, because I knew something big was going to happen because they tell you a million times. Harrison's like, this is the biggest moment in reality TV history, the first ever uncut scene. So then halfway through the show, I'm just like, okay, what could it possibly be? And I figured it out.
Yeah, because they showed you Jason Mesnick talking to him right off the top.
Yeah, and Nessa was with us, and she didn't know, and all of us kind of knew at that point. And she was like, "Oh, well, if he's here, then that's probably what's going to happen, right?" Like she figured it out as soon as she saw Mesnick.
Yeah. So like it would have been so much more satisfying had it come out of nowhere more. And maybe it is just the fact that on this show things leak out easy because there's a lot of people in the know and they just try to get ahead of the rumors, which I can't really blame them for.
Right.
But I mean, even Harrison setting it up like that, like even just saying we're setting a record here, it's the craziest moment ever, because then your hopes get so high that you're inevitably let down.
They've got zero chill on the show about things like this.
Oh, yeah.
Zero.
I know.
And like I get it for them, it's a pretty big bummer that it got spoiled and like Reality Steve, you know, blew it for everyone. But you know, like we said last week, like spoilers for some people they love them, for some people they ignore them. But for either like side, it adds to it for them. They probably still watch it, you know, if the spoilers happen.
Yeah.
But you on the show can't spoil it. You can't spoil it off the top of the show. You can't indicate so hard what's about to happen. Like, do me a favor and just treat it like normal. You know, you can say something very dramatic happens, of course, because you say that every week. So
so it doesn't matter.
And like we get it. Like this is going to be different. Like you can even say that a little bit, but like I don't know. It seemed to me they were going really overboard. So much so that they in fact ended up spoiling their own ending because there was a spoiler. Like there was a huge spoiler that happened, and then they went over the top trying to get people to still be interested, and in doing that, you ruined it.
And to your point, like, well, if it's what was I going to say? Well, it's already out there, so let's like, who cares? Or sorry, I'm going to watch it anyway, so I'll just find out. I think the opposite, where it's like, well, I'm going to watch it anyway, so don't bother spoiling for me.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to say anything. I'm watching the finale.
Yeah.
Unless you're like, this is the worst finale we've ever had, then I mean, save for that. I'm watching it. I've invested in the whole season.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense because it's like you've got us here for 3 hours and you've ruined it at like hour 2 or
Not
something
even.
because they showed him right off the top, I guess. They showed Mesnick right off the top.
Yeah.
And it was like he's going to be here and it's like no one's heard from him. That's the problem. He's not like a bachelor that people hear about ever. So it's like who is that guy? Oh, he's that guy. Oh, well that's
right.
Yeah, like they parade them out once in a while when they want to show the couples who are still together. Of course, yeah. But Mesnick's never there. And then the fact that it was even only him, it's like they didn't even disguise it. Like he was, you know, like it was rough.
Yeah, pretty bad.
Yeah, pretty rough.
Here's a question, Andy. You kind of thought that Ari dropped the double I love yous as sort of a way to enhance his standing on The Bachelor and make kind of an otherwise boring season. Like he was doing it for the fireworks. Do you think that perhaps, based on what we know now, that the way he went about dumping her and that he brought the camera crew to the dumping, do you think that's still a factor? Do you guys think that he's He's kind
I
of
don't
just
think he brought the camera crew. I don't think
I think he
what
did.
happened. I think it was that they have contracts and they're like, they heard wind of it and they're like, we're gonna bring a camera crew.
But I thought the ladies, I think it was the women, were like, he had the option to do it. Not
Yeah,
with
Becca
the
said
cameras,
that.
But she doesn't know. I doubt she knows. I think
it could
that's
be like he
concrete.
had the option not to, like he had the option to say no, which I guess is the same thing. But he might not have said, "Hey, I want it." But here's the thing. So obviously, like we all know what happens on the show.
Yes.
So let's just start talking about it. I was really disappointed with how that was handled. I thought that was pretty rough. But someone on Twitter wrote that it's possible, and it was, I can't remember who it was. It might have even been someone from the show, but it's like Ari wanted to show the breakup because he thought in the end it would be better for Becca's chances to be Bachelorette.
Ooh, interesting. So like, assist them.
Yeah, and then they all kept talking about this idea of like he wanted to show it just to like show people, you know, what really happened and everything, and that it was all up front and all this kind of stuff. So that's one side to look at it, I suppose. Like I was pretty. Yeah, go ahead, Sarah. Yeah.
I watched Jillian Harris, who was a Bachelorette, because I was like, I thought it was. I have kind of different views on it. I don't necessarily think Ari's a dick for changing his mind. I think they're on a reality show where he's constantly changing his mind.
Right.
So like, it's not that weird to me that a month later he did it again.
Yeah.
He's kind of built for that
Very
at this
true.
point. That doesn't like, and just like, it's so funny that we're okay with it while the show's on, but a month later it's so horrible and bad.
Yeah.
It's like, who are we to judge that really? But he did this he dated 30 women in front of us. Like,
I know. I'm with you. I'm not upset with Ari really at all
about that.
Yeah.
So then I was watching Jillian Harris and she's like, hey man, I've been there. And she's like, you sign up for all of it. You sign up for the good, the bad, the ugly. She's like, that's part of it. She's like,
right.
She's like, you know, you have about I think she said like 96% chance of getting your heart broken if you're a contestant. He's like, he's picking one and there's 25 of you. Like, if you fall for him, your heart's probably going to get broken. So like, we can't really feel bad for the people he dumped. She's like, that's part of what the show is. And then she's like, and here's the thing. She's like, some producers help you. Some producers don't. And some producers have your best interests and some producers have the show's interests at heart. And she's like, who knows? It could have been a producer being like, hey, Becca's the safer choice. You should go for Becca. Like, she's like, those are the only people you have to talk to the whole time.
Yeah.
Except when your parents pop in for a bit.
Who also said Becca was the safe choice. So.
Yeah, exactly. And then she's like, I think everyone handled it correctly. She's like, this is what they signed up for. This is what it is. She's like, it was hard to watch and it sucked. But so like to have someone from the inside, knowing how icky it can be, if it is icky on the inside, saying that was like a little eye-opening for me. Was
That's
a little like, okay, well, because I was kind of like, I didn't know, me and Andy had a big convo about it. I didn't know how to feel about it. And I didn't know which way to think about it. It felt shitty, that's for sure. But we watched him kind of break up with people for 3 months already. So like, I don't know.
True. I guess the main thing is just the way he treated Becca. I mean, from proposing to her when obviously not being really that sure of it and just going with the quote safe choice, and then to the breakup, to the call to Lauren, to the way he showed basically zero regret after and being like, what was that one weird. when he was talking to Becca and he's like, I was 50% you, 50% her. And then she's like, well, now that you're going back to her, are you still 50% her? And he's like, no. So, you know what I mean?
I mean, the last thing I'll say quick, what was I going to say? Oh, the one scene I didn't like, I don't necessarily agree with Jillian. It was just like a cool side to listen to be like, oh, well, you were like deep in it and this is how you feel. But the thing I really didn't like, just before I forget, was the scene that they showed before the unedited scene of her being like, the ring's so big and I'm so happy. And it's like, we don't need to see you. You shouldn't have done that. And we don't need to see this. right before we all know as an audience is going to get dumped. Like,
good point.
That was the part that felt gross to me. It wasn't necessarily the unedited scene. It was that was weird to watch for sure, but just the way they edited it to make her look like an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, guys.
Well, not only that, well, first of all, and the crew knows what's going on because they have to shoot it, and they I'm sure they've been briefed. And then also after that, everyone was talking about how they showed her at the airport on coach in the middle seat, like talking about how I saw tweets like, oh, look, some intern booked her the middle seat on coach. Like, yeah, it was like she was a specimen at that point. And you're right, Sarah. They could have just showed Ari walking in, breakup happens, she cries, end scene.
Yeah, we didn't need to see that before part, unless the crew didn't know what was going to happen.
I got a feeling they knew.
But then if they did, what garbage. Like, that was the garbage part for me. I didn't like that. That felt the ickiest.
It's probably the same crew who saw Corinne get blackout drunk and have her
moment.
Oral sex from a guy on the pool deck in front of everybody.
Yeah.
So, well, let's go through starting at, obviously the parents part was good this time because it was rare that you saw parents actually say to the other person like, oh, we met Lauren, we hung out with Lauren yesterday, she's great. And Becca got a weird vibe from that. I like that part. We mentioned how the parent part this time was kind of cool. That actually kind of felt real for once.
Yeah, it was. I liked. There was a lot of interaction with them like that. You could tell that they liked Becca more than Lauren. They might have even said as much. I can't really remember.
They did. They all at the end after the 2 dates they went around and said who they liked better, and all of them picked Becca.
Yeah, and that to me was why Ari picked her. Right? He had the family thing behind him. That thing his sister said really rattled him, I think.
About the conversation.
Yeah, about talking all night long.
The key thing, because Becca kept talking about that.
And
that's why he didn't.
Lauren, and I think it was pretty clear that he liked Lauren more, but then got talked out of it by his family and his sister. And it's like, I think that all the reasons that I think his family was kind of right. Like, Becca was better for him and all this, and like Lauren is like every other woman he's dated before in his life. And as we find out later, it was a fan of Ari to begin with. Well, she got a picture with him. Yeah, they met once, and
they had met previously.
Exactly. I mean, it was a brief thing. It wasn't really anything big or anything. But like this person who already has this kind of, reverence for him or whatever. So I think his family was right, but he undeniably, obviously, wanted Lauren. Like, so he tried to do the right thing, but not by him. He tried to do the right thing by like his family and what people thought he should do.
Right.
Which is why it ended up being such a mess. And like I'm not mad at, like Sarah was saying, like I don't think really any less of him for switching. Like, he made a mistake. He shouldn't have proposed. Obviously, he said that a lot of times. And I believe him, man. I believe there's all kinds of pressure to do that on that show. And like Becca and Sienna and all them were like, you don't have to go down on one. You don't have to do that. It's like, you basically do. You basically do.
What happened to Juan Pablo?
Yeah.
Look what happened.
He was like banished. Yeah. Juan Pablo was like banished, and I mean Brad didn't. I guess that was his name, Brad.
Brad Womack.
Yeah, he didn't do it, but he did it in a nicer way, I guess, than Juan Pablo did.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of pressure there. Yeah. There's a lot of pressure there, and even the going about it, like how he did on like the show in that clip, in that unedited clip, I thought he still was just being honest. I thought he was honest throughout the thing. It's like they were together a month, and he obviously talked to her about like calling. He talked to Becca about calling Lauren and all that stuff. So I think he handled it okay. The only thing that really irked me was the fact that they showed it so much, and it was just like, man, I just watching this person just get totally crushed. Like, ooh, that was rough.
Totally shredded. Yeah. Here's what I like, that he explained how he was very forthright with Becca. He was like, I still have these feelings for Lauren B, so I got to call her. And Becca was like, sure, go ahead. That was cool. I think that was good. But during the breakup scene, and I saw a couple of articles written about this too, is how, how he broke up with her, then he left, then he had that moment of contemplation, then he went back in for some stupid reason. And it was just because he felt like he didn't want to feel like he was the bad guy.
Yeah.
Right? He was like, "Oh, there's no way. Like, she's the victim now." And all of a sudden, he's the bad guy, and he was so uncomfortable with that, which is why he went back to just sit there and look at her, hoping she'd say like, "Don't worry, I forgive you," which she never really did.
And
that's icky to me.
That's something that happens.
Look, you made the move, get out of there.
Yeah, you made the move and get out of there, but also like you feel so bad. It's almost like you feel like maybe you can help them. I feel like if you're in that situation, like, but ultimately, I do think what you're saying is true. Like, I think it is a selfish thing. You're trying to do that because you feel bad. You're not right. Like, you know what's really happening there. So yeah, I definitely should have left. But like, I think that happens in a lot of breakups. I think the people try too hard to do this one thing, and it's kind of coming from a selfish place. They might not even realize it. I don't know. Who's to judge somebody in that situation? It's to me it's less about the person, more about the show. Was my problem.
Yeah, I do. No one looked at Chris Harrison during that like hour or whatever after. The women weren't like, why didn't you stop this? Like, no one called him out on stage. Everybody was like talking about Ari's character, which I do think Ari's a slime ball. I do, but he is the guy that was chosen, and that's who we're dealing with.
You mean that for other reasons, right? Like for his.
Yeah. But I don't think necessarily his actions on here were like a breakup. Like everyone's like he had no feeling. It's like, yeah, we watched a real breakup, and sometimes that's how it goes. Like,
they're not pretty.
I've been in breakups where I don't necessarily cry. I've broken up with people where they cry and I don't cry, and it's that's just because he wasn't like losing his mind. It's probably because he knew. What sucked is that he called Lauren and lied and never told her for weeks. Like, that's the shitty thing. He was lying. And she was like, I was so good about everything, and all he said I wanted was honesty, and you didn't give that to me.
Right.
Oh, I forgot about that, actually.
Yeah, so
I thought she knew about him calling her.
She knew that he wanted to, and she said it was okay, but he didn't and didn't tell her for weeks.
Right. Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah, there was that whole timeline thing about him calling her on New Year's or whatever, because who was it? Kendall or someone
Tia
was
with Lauren.
Tia was with Lauren when he called. Yeah.
Huh.
And then it was like 3 or 4 weeks until Becca found out, and she's like, "Why didn't you just?" That's the only thing I asked. So that's where you see like the slimy part. That's the bad part. And yeah, he for sure got confirmation from Lauren that they would get back together, and then just waited 3 weeks, probably just before, because once Lauren saw him at the door, she was like, so
she was
happy
fine.
to see him. And I was like, oh, they figured this out.
Yeah, I thought. After the breakup, I thought, oh, well, is Lauren even going to take him back? That's going to be the next thing, right? But there was just absolutely no question.
Yeah, I didn't think there was any question, even without knowing that they had already talked about it. I just thought for sure she's going to do it, of course.
I thought at least she'd put up a little fight, but I guess that was before I found out they had really talked before. So that was weird. She was
pumped. She was pumped that this girl got her heart broken. Her friend before apparently was like, peace, peace, peace.
Did you guys think when right when Ari came in to break up with Becca, and before he dropped a bomb, and he mentioned her tattoo, and then she's like, it's a little big, isn't it? Oh, if only that had been like an I Heart Ari tattoo. I mean, it being like a weird fly wasn't any better. But
what is it? I can't even tell.
Yeah. It looked like a butterfly, guys, and no burn on anyone who's a butterfly tattoo, but like. I think she wanted, people have like cute little wrist tattoos. They're like a little heart or like a little butterfly, but they're small. They're quite small. They're probably like half an inch by half an inch. Hers was like 2 inches big.
It's a blob, man. That's
a real big blob. It wasn't covering. It wasn't covering the cross, was it?
No, the cross
on the other. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. So yeah, I'm trying to remember the timeline. So yeah, then it was just like, yep, they're together, no problem. And then we went back into the studio, and Becca had to go in front of the camera, which was rough. Even though, I mean, at that point she knows she's the Bachelorette.
Yeah.
So it's like,
this sort of stuff like is par for the course, right? And there's probably a lot of people who, I mean, we're kind of split down the middle, maybe even on the show here, but in Bachelor Nation certainly, of who was okay with them showing that and who was not okay with it, and the mixed feelings on it. We here, I thought it was like sleazy.
And I thought
And the reason I think and Sarah, why I think your opinion is also very valid is and other people who also share your opinion.
Well, mine's not totally different.
No, it's not. Like we think similar things about it, but then end up just kind of on like slightly different opinions, right? Like, I think that it's out. I thought it was like kind of outside of the realm of what the show is and what it like the expectation it sets up for the people who come on it, right? Like you get broken up with in rose ceremonies, and if you make it to the end, you get broken up with in the last thing, and it's hard, right? It's always going to be quite hard.
Right.
We see them for a minute in the limo crying, and then that's it. That's the end of your Bachelor journey. This was like a month after they'd been together. You have this certain security when that happens. You're now sort of outside of the realm of the show, even though obviously they were filming, and like who knows the reasons behind that, whether it's a contractual thing that they are allowed to film that, or they film all the couples for like a while after.
I'm wondering that too.
Or is it Ari? Here's what I think it is, and this is again pure speculation. This isn't based on anything. This is just I think this makes more sense than that other stuff. Is that Ari said to the producers of the show, "Hey, I want to switch. I want to go back to Lauren," and they said, "Okay, let us come film you do it." And then they convinced him, or he had the idea to do it, or whoever's idea it was. So then he goes, okay, sure. So then they come and they film them, and they're like, hey, you're going to go on this couples weekend thing, and we're going to film you guys as like a follow-up. And then Becca's all super excited. And then it's really to film them getting broken up with. So like there's all this stuff. And like, yeah, maybe Ari could have said no. And for that, I think I think it's pretty brutal to show someone getting broken up with like outside of the show, outside of like this rose ceremony, like it's called reality TV, but this is actually real, and the shit that we watch is fake. And like I don't want to see a person get absolutely crushed on TV unedited. Like I didn't need this. They could have used some editing, first of all.
I guess.
So can I just say, because Andy kind of pointed out what he thinks, but I don't think I'm necessarily on a different side than you, Andy.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that's correct. But I just think, I thought it was gross. I was like, ugh, I hate watching this. It doesn't need to be unedited, for sure. There's stuff they could have edited out of this. And I think that's why we're like, this is gross. But if they gave us any unedited scenes from the season and from past seasons of stuff that they've filmed that's gross and shitty, then we'd feel the same way. And I guess for me, it's like, I've seen gross shit happen on this show before, like Caitlyn being recorded having sex and then being like super slut shamed for it. And just different ways women have been dealt with and men have been dealt with on the show that I found pretty gross. But we've all kept watching, and we all watch it, even though it's gross. It isn't unedited. It is edited, so we hear music behind it, and it sounds a little better. But it's still real for these people. Like, so many of these people that are on the show, it's very real for. As much as we think it's all bullshit, and a lot of it's all manipulated, a lot of people feel very, like, real with what's going on. And a lot of people come out of it being like, I can't believe it was as real for me as it was. I don't think all these people are great actors and they're going in and everything's pretend.
Right.
Like to say that like really washes away all the gross shit they do during the show because they do a lot of gross shit. So I guess my view is like, I still thought it was shitty, but it didn't necessarily surprise me. I wasn't like, whoa, Bachelor Nation is doing this. It's like, they've done gross shit all the way along. They had Ari as a bachelor who is a known like player guy who has sex with like almost minors. Like,
I never thought of it that way.
It just didn't shock me. I didn't shock me. I thought it was shit, but it didn't shock me.
I never saw Mesnick's season, but I mean, he pulled his thing off at AFR, right? Yeah. So if Ari hadn't agreed, if he was like, I'm going to break up with her, because I mean, obviously the producers have to know this because they're still contractually obligated at this point. If he's like, I'm going to break up with her, and they're like, okay, we'll do it at AFR. Maybe he's like, I'd rather not ambush her like that. Let's do it. I want to do it privately. Maybe that's better. Maybe it's better than doing it in front of a live studio audience. Right?
Yeah, I think it is.
So
I think it is better than.
But there must be something. The way Jillian is like, they've signed a contract for this, so there must be something in the contract that states if you change your mind, you have to come back to us.
Yeah.
Like there must be something because both men did it.
Mm-hmm.
Both men did not do it on their own. And I think what's shitty about it all is that is it ABC?
Yep.
Yeah.
Isn't taking that on. They're not like, we made these guys make this decision. That's the gross part for me. I'm like, and the little filming of her before, like that's the manipulation. It's not the breakup. I mean, that sucks, but I've seen him hurt a bunch of women, like pretty brutally all the way along. Like the fact that he has sex with 3 women a day after each other, probably. Like, who knows, but has intimate times with 3 women and then immediately breaks up with one of them. That would fuck with me for years. If someone was like giving me all these like real moments and then we just break up. Like, I think that's what we don't
in real
realize,
life maybe, but on the show you are basically half expecting it.
No, you're not. I think people aren't. I think that's what we think, and I don't think people are. And I think that's what they were saying about Ari specifically, is that he said stuff to the women in those fantasy suites. Like, that's what the other women were saying. He's like, you don't know what he said to all the women in the fantasy suites and said to each one of them, because they all know, because they go and tell them.
Yeah. Well,
so
what do we...
It's like,
Yeah, that's an interesting side, Sarah. And I don't think you're wrong about that. And I think ABC wants us to think it's icky too. Like, I don't think they're going around being like, oh, we're going to show it unedited. People are going to love this and really respect what we're doing. I think they're more like, people are going to hate this.
Yeah, I think you're right. And Chris Harrison was like, "Ooh, this was really blowing up social media. Like, people got a lot of negative responses and all this.
Yeah.
Like, they were really reveling in that."
They've been doing this for 30 years or whatever.
30 years. Been doing this since the mid '80s.
I just really want to get across that I didn't enjoy it. I wasn't like, ooh, drama.
Yeah, and I still think...
I was just not surprised because, like, they do gross shit. Like, the whole Corinne thing for me is worse than this.
Yeah, I agree. And for me, it's not even so much that...
And we all kept going, and we all kept watching, and it's like, this isn't worse than someone possibly getting sexually assaulted.
Yeah, and then
this is someone getting broken up with, and
right, and it's not, and it's not that this doesn't. It's not that I'm not. I feel the same way, but it's not that. It's just like this is like, okay, this is like getting close to the last straw for me. Like, how much more?
Yeah, it's building
how much
up.
more am I gonna watch where I'm just like, ew, I feel bad for watching this now. And like, it's a common thing people say about this, about probably this exact show right when it first started. And yeah, we've given into a lot of it. And we enjoy most of it, I would say. But there's just every now and again, one of these things pops up where it's just like, I don't know if I should be watching this.
And I still think Ari's a scumbag, for sure, like 100%. I think Lauren is still extremely boring and uninteresting, and maybe they deserve each other.
She's nice. She's a good person.
Yeah, and all the women.
I don't think she deserves to be put in the same category as Ari, just because we don't find her interesting.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting. It'll be after watching that Jillian Harris Insta story or whatever. I was like, well, that is an interesting side to somebody who was like deep down in it, was treated like shit, got cheated on afterwards. Like, the guy that she was with was garbage that they had chosen. Hey, listen, last year it was Rachel's season and they had a fucking racist.
Yeah.
On. So like,
like these are the moves of a show that I'm just like, why am I supporting this show still?
Yeah, and I think what is kind of our job at this point is to see what the next couple seasons are like, see if they kind of change the things. But if this stuff keeps happening, but it's just like, now it's huge. Bachelor Nation's huge. Like, Justin Theroux watches it and is like he just broke up with what's her name, Rachel.
Justin Theroux watches it.
But he's being watched right now, like his social media, because they just broke up. So like, he's super famous right now, and he was like Team Tia. So like, it's crazy how many people watch this show.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like, so it's kind of up to us to be that filter of like, this is shitty though, guys. Just because we do this every doesn't mean we enjoy every minute of what they do on that show.
Well, certainly not. What do we think about the little, like, the Tia and Becca and Caroline Kendall's appearance on AFR? I thought Beckham came out as probably sounding like the most mature one.
She just said it was.
In defending Becca, and they obviously are all big fans of
Yeah.
Bekak.
And none of them are fans
no,
of Ari, except for maybe Kendall.
Yeah, and none of them really said anything bad about Lauren.
Nope.
They said they didn't really get to know her that well, but they respect her, which was pretty good. And it just goes to show this group of women, especially the ones that were on stage, it's like, wow, that's like one of the best collections they've had.
Good group, good crew. They were all. I mean,
they're great.
They were just looking out for their friend, really, right? Like they just wanted to. They just obviously that's what your friends do. You look out for your bud when someone treats them poorly, which I think Ari basically did. Yeah. So, but yeah, Carolyn though.
She is one of the biggest star stories from this show. She got kicked out. Nobody cared about her. She wasn't exciting in the show. She goes nuts on the Women Tell All.
Yeah.
Like, just goes for it. And now she will for sure be in like so many different shows.
I know, and I really don't like her very much.
And before she wouldn't have been, but she came on.
She milked it. Yeah, she played the game.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know what? I don't enjoy her, but got to give it to her.
Yeah, she played it well. She her auditions for Bachelor in Paradise went very well. She really crushed them.
This is her audition. Yeah. They're my friends.
I can't believe she was included in that group. It's like Tia, Kendall, Cien, Beckham. Hey, Carolyn? Didn't she go on like the 4th episode or something? Like, geez.
Yeah, and it's so funny. I just, in her head while she was crying, like, these are my friends. They're all my friends, and I can't believe you called them that. Crystal, and it's like, does anyone know who you are? Does anyone know her at all?
Does anyone remember her?
No.
Does anyone remember?
The answer is no.
No. And like in her head, she was probably just like, Bachelor in Paradise, Bachelor in Paradise.
Yeah. Gotta stay in the franchise. Gotta stay in the franchise. Gotta stay in the franchise.
Gotta sell flat tummy tea. Gotta sell flat tummy tea.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed with how
she tweeted at him.
Yeah, she did. I was a little
Well,
I was a little disappointed with how everyone really, really towed the company line on it, though.
Yes.
And it felt like to me, and I could be wrong here, but it felt like, especially like, I really remember thinking this when Cien was talking. It seemed like she didn't really like that they filmed it and showed it this way, but then was like, yeah, I like that you showed it because it needed to be showed because of this. And then she just sort of said what everyone else was saying, but there was a little bit of hesitation there. And I think they did have some of them at least had problems with it and just didn't want to call people out in front of it,
Becca
which
did,
I was,
sure.
Becca was straight up.
I was disappointed that they all really kind of sort of did that, but whatever.
Yeah, but I think Kendall might have felt that way. Kendall's got her own set of values and what she thinks real. Yeah. So like, she's like a bit of a hippie.
Well, Kendall was also softer on Ari in general.
Everybody should see everything. Yeah, she thought he was like not that bad.
Yeah.
But then he does he's been doing this kind of weird stuff. So knowing that he did this and knowing what the backlash was going to happen, on his Instagram, he posted a picture of the Women Tell All. He's like, and he made fun of them as if it was a Bachelor in Paradise audition.
That's what I was just talking about.
And I'm like, dude, you're going to make fun of the women that you, for one, have broken up with. That is the show. But then done this thing that people are going to hate you for. And, it looks like he erased it.
Did he? Oh, no. Yeah, I saw that. That was a good...
He erased
because it comes off as bitter. It comes off as him being, like...
Bitter.
Yeah, it comes off as him being a jackass, which I think he is.
If we want to get to the gossip.
Let's quickly, at the end of AFR, we find out that Bekak is your new bachelorette, and then they trotted out, literally in one case, 4 new bachelors. Did anyone stand out to you guys?
The first guy.
Yeah, I loved the first guy.
Yeah, I don't remember any of their names.
He was handsome and smooth.
He was handsome and smooth and nice. He seemed like he was up there for long enough. He didn't do anything really gimmicky.
But he was up there a long time.
He was up there a bit too long for me.
He managed to fill the air.
A little too long. Yeah.
I didn't like the guy who played the banjo.
Yeah, me neither. Although apparently the girls really liked him.
Horseman was whatever. And then the other guy was cute too.
Horseman forcing her up on that horse though. She really didn't have much of a say there.
I mean, they literally made her ride around on a horse after all of it. She was like, it was a circus. It was a full circus.
That dress she was wearing she looked so awkward trying to hold her dress on. Yeah.
I have a question for you guys.
Okay.
What would be, I don't know if we've done this before, but maybe if we have, we'll have new ideas. But I don't think we have. What would be your gimmick? What would be the thing that you would bring?
We have talked about this before. What would you do?
If you had to do anything.
Yeah, if you had to do something.
I would want to ride in on something for sure.
Like, I'd ask for like some kind of crazy car or animal or something. It usually gets a lot of.
I'd want to ride in on a lion.
I wouldn't do a ride-in. I'd be more of a prop man.
Okay.
And I'd do it for I'd give it to her, and I'd say like, "Find me later" to get the rest, or one of those. I'd definitely employ the "Find me later" move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gives you a leg up right
Start
away.
that intrigue.
Yeah, like here's a piece of the puzzle. If you want the other piece, find me later.
Exactly.
I would for sure get a lion from the LA Zoo, and I would ride in on the lion and be dressed in like a red dress or a romper, so that I could like be fully on the lion.
Romper's a good choice.
I'd be in a romper.
Not a lot of rompers on night one. That would set you apart too.
I would set me apart, right? And I would just be like, "You're a lion." I don't know what
you'd have to say something cheesy like, "I'm not lying. I'm really into you."
Yeah, that's great.
Here's what I wouldn't do: gimmicky suit.
Oh, gimmicky suit or costume. No
I'm
way.
not so against costume if you change out of it. Like,
but they
because
never do anymore.
Because the costumes that have come in the recent years have been very successful. They've all lasted well on the show and have all gone on to other things in the franchise, which I think is like great. That's because that's what you're really gunning for, right? You just want to stick in the franchise there. So I would consider costume, but gimmicky suit, like wearing I'm wearing a yellow suit, or like I'm wearing this print.
Yeah, like the suit from Dumb and Dumber.
Like never, no way. That just, to me, that's just like you run out of ideas. You don't have any ideas. All you could think of was this dumb suit idea.
Yeah, I mean, I did say romper, which is a bit of a dumb dress, but
no, but like for women it's different. I really meant for men there. For women it's women you wear stuff to stand out.
We
like
can do
it's a
whatever
big
we
deal.
want.
Yeah.
Guys, I do have some gossip, and I need a theme song. Give me a theme song to the gossip.
Glenn, you want to try a theme song this time?
Andy?
Sarah's Gossip Corner. This is where the gossip goes. This is where we go for gossip. And Sarah fucking knows.
Oh my God, we have to record that and put that before every time I have
That's
gossip.
the best one. Yeah, Glenn, you should really record that as a song, and we can actually put that in.
Musical comedy is one of my strengths.
It is, for sure. That was great.
I just made that up.
I don't know how much this is gossip. Like, maybe a lot of people know about it, but maybe not. Ari messaged, what's her name there? Becca, younger Becca, in her DMs, and was like, I saw this and I thought of you, and it was some picture or whatever. And she's like, haha. He's like, how are you doing? And she's like, fine, or whatever. And then he's like, you were born on the year of my first 2-on-1. And it was him at prom with 2 ladies. And she's like she just didn't like it and didn't know what to write back. What weird thing to send her after everything.
He still got the hots for her,
and
for sure.
He sent it after he had changed it. Like, he is sending DMs to people that will talk to people. And like, whatever, it's not a big deal, but that would be like Andy, after deciding we were together, DMing or texting a woman like weird inside joke things that he had just
Yeah,
did.
exactly. It's like, oh, we're engaged, and then like a week later I go to like private message an ex-girlfriend, basically.
Yeah. And let us not forget, and I know, Sarah, you brought up a good point. You can't really judge Ari on how he cried during that breakup, but the most emotional breakup of the whole season was Becky.
Yeah, it was.
Hands down.
He did cry during that. That is true, Glenn. We do know he cries. So maybe my point is wrong. Maybe he is a hollow man who just wants to have a pretend race relationship forever with as many women as possible.
Yeah.
And he will keep changing his mind. Other gossip, quick. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
And we mentioned it a bit before, but Lauren B had met Ari before. She went to a race and met him in the wherever the racers are, I guess. But I think it's he wasn't even racing. He was just there. And she got a picture with him, and they edited it out of the first
Yeah.
episode that she brought a framed photo of them together and was like, I've met you before. So like, I think that shows so much, like, he thinks she's like a fan, and she is. Like, she is all in on him.
Yeah.
In like a way I've never really seen before on this show, like someone so blindly, like, without the breakup and getting back together. Because usually when they're on after the final rose, it's usually a little awkward, and they're like, we've had some issues, but we'll figure it out. Like, basically that's been everybody for the past like 6 seasons. But this one, she's just like, after even being dumped and being switched around, she's like googly for him.
Yeah.
Anyways, those are.
I saw a thing on Reddit the other day. Someone took a screenshot of after Ari got announced as a Bachelor, and one of his exes replied to the tweet. What was it like? He'll be good up until he has to choose just one.
She tweeted like, that before he got chosen as the Bachelor.
Yeah.
She tweeted, "If
that
it's
says a lot.
He'll do fine." And then she tweeted, quoting that tweet, "I told you so."
Insane. Crazy. She fully called that.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That says a lot.
That shows his character more than maybe anything. Like, that shows he obviously cheats on everybody and is shitty. And it's like, there's no way this marriage will be you know what? I hate it to say it, but Lauren seems like a Stepford wife. Like, she's just
yeah. Big time.
I watched Kimmel. Anyone watch Kimmel with them?
I did not. No.
I started to watch it, and then I was like, I don't want to watch this just
He
because.
called them out. It was so funny. So
Love
he's like,
Kimmel.
so you guys are already engaged? Like, you don't want to take a break? He's like, how long have you been together? He's like, a few months. He's like, how many? He's like, well, he said 2, and he's like, that's a couple. That's a couple of months. That's not a. And he was like burning them. So he's like, just wait a bit. I'm not doing this perfectly verbatim, but then he was like, they're already planning their wedding. She's like, we're planning it for this year. He's like, you don't want to wait. And he was like burning them. And then there was something she didn't know about him, and he's like, maybe you shouldn't get married then. And the audience was crazy, and that was the end of the interview.
That's funny.
It was great. Like, he did really good.
Kimmel's the man when it comes to that. Just a unabashed Bachelor fan. He tells the truth, which is great. I think the only thing that might save the marriage is the fact that Ari is 36 and that he might actually be too embarrassed to not see this through. But who knows? I mean, he's more famous than he's ever been before. So if he gets the itch and he goes partying, like, he's going to get recognized more than he did before, which he obviously loved. So I don't know.
I don't know.
Andy, we got some mail in the mailbag.
We sure do.
Right?
We got a little mailbag segment here. Let's get the old mailbag theme.
I'll sing the song. Okay, I'll do this one. It's the mailbag, Andy's mailbag. There's some mail in there, and he's gonna talk about it.
Welcome everybody to Andy's mailbag. Okay, so we've got a couple to catch up on. We usually let like the mail stack up a little bit, and then we read it all as one big thing. So this is what we got going on here. First of all, we didn't even really look at this for all the people asking us to do Bachelor Canada, but we had a bunch of emails from specifically Jennifer and Jillian. We're talking about Bachelor Canada. We didn't do Bachelor Canada. We needed a break. Bottom line, but you know that by now. But here's a cool one. Our girl Ellen Two Doos, friend of the show.
Hi, Ellen.
Ellen, what's
Ellen? She moved from San Antonio to Dallas, and she's been on the lookout for some Bachelor alums because she knows that they live around there. And she actually did fully see Sean Lowe walking their dog at the park, which is like across from where she lives, and she knew that was the same park. So she's like walking her dog more, and she went out and spotted it. So thanks for Ellen.
Good sighting.
Good sighting. Keep us up to date on all the goings-ons at that cool park in Dallas. Okay. I think we already read this one from Meredith, but Meredith Stockland wrote us a thing just talking about the Brian Luttrell test. Yeah, we talked about that one already. Sheena Bateman writes us and tells us that Au Caramels are definitely the best.
Liv and I recently invested in a box of those. I forgot to tell you guys, and I ate most of them.
She's living.
Was I there for that conversation? Or was that one that you
probably
had?
Were we talking about that when I was over at your house?
Maybe. What's the date on the email?
February 1st.
So
Yeah, I would have been here.
I think you would have been around. It was you guys who brought it up, I think.
Yeah, because we were
Okay.
talking about Half Joe Louis and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
hot
Oh,
caramels.
yes.
But anyways, she basically tells us it's very nice. Sheena says we're her favorite Bachelor podcast. Thank you. She likes that we keep it real and funny, which is great. And she does miss very much Liv's dry one-liners. So that's nice to say.
We were supposed to get her on for this
I know.
finale, but she's still out.
She's still at work, yeah. So obviously they don't have hot caramels in the States. It's one of the great things about Canada is that we have hot caramels, and she is Canadian, so she misses them. So basically what she does here is she kind of like looks at some similar snack cakes in the States. So like we can kind of inform our American friends about like what cakes.
Ooh, a comparable.
Yeah. So they don't have Joe Louis there either. So like, man, what do you do in the States for snack cakes? Oh, speaking of Liv, there she is.
She just crouched under the camera.
She didn't even crouch. We can fully see her. Just tell her to walk by normally.
You can walk by normally. You've been revealed.
Yeah. The only American snack cake worth trying, apparently, according to Sheena Bateman, is a raspberry zinger. I've never even heard of a raspberry zinger.
I've never heard of that too. I'm familiar with the Hostess line because whenever we'd go to the States, we'd indulge in Twinkies, cupcakes, snowballs, etc. But I've never heard of a raspberry zinger. And me being a fan of the flavor raspberry, I'm intrigued.
She says she wants to send us some cakes so we can try them on the show, and that being
well, if that happens,
yeah.
We'll send her a Canadian care
yeah,
package,
exactly. Let's do that. Let's exchange care packages, Sheena. I will write back and get her all the relevant info. But she also says
I am in LA right now. I might try some, but send them to Andy.
Yeah, well, we'll save it for when you're around, Sarah.
Yeah.
She also says she very much likes the "How old do you think a person is?" celebrity game.
It's become a very
it's become
good
a
game.
huge staple of the show. She also thinks that Nick is the leader of the Backstreet Boys. Okay.
Whoa.
Let's just dance over this.
We also got a interesting email from Alice Smithers. She writes us and says, obviously she knows about Juan Pablo being this, like, remember his homophobic comment he made, and like he got in a lot of trouble for that, and they basically like disowned him for it, which is like rightfully so. But apparently Sean Lowe is like really rough when it comes to that subject as well. So much of that, like, he won't even really talk about it. And it's like, Sarah, you read the thing specifically that Alice was writing us about.
Yeah, I read an article on a gay website, and they were like, he basically, in the interview that they were referencing, he was asked about marriage equality, and he's like, I don't want to talk on that subject or anything political, but with that specific subject, I need to talk to you for like an hour to show you how I feel. And then the guy in the article is like, well, it's pretty easy to just say you're okay with it, so I guess he's not okay with it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then apparently there's a bunch of other articles. So, and didn't she say in her email too that Juan Pablo at least like apologized?
Yeah. She's like, Juan, and for me, I always felt like Juan Pablo's thing is like a lot cultural has to do with it, and even there was like the language barrier of the word he said seemed to be more like for sure. Listen, still not the coolest, but he's apologized and like said he, but whatever. The guy's still kind of shit. Anyways, he's still shit. But this Sean Lowe thing is like, this is like,
I'm out on
steeped in like his like, obviously he's like born again Christian, and like he must really feel that way about LGBTQ folks, and that's not how we roll here on the old Bachelor Pod. No. So can't say
feel that way. We feel bad. You're off or you're
can't
out.
Say support that.
Originally
Can't say support. Can't say I'm going to be sending people Sean Lowe's way anymore, because that's not cool. Finally we have this one. Last mailbag of the day. John Gouge.
Gougge.
Gouge. This is a fun one. We mentioned, Glenn, that we were very surprised that Ari had raced in the Indy 500.
Oh, yeah.
And a friend of ours, Norm, pointed out to me that he finished 23rd in the Indy 500, or 26th or something. 26th, I think it was. But he didn't even finish the race. Like, he only finished 50 something laps or something like that of the 500 laps. So he just beat out other people who didn't finish as well.
Right.
So like, not a great showing. However, Ari Sr. Actually won the Indy 500 twice in 1990 and 97, and he still holds the record for fastest single lap and fastest 4-lap average in qualifying at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
He's the real deal.
And apparently he was a real heartthrob. And Jess John, we do find that fascinating. He's like, I'm sure you find this fascinating. It's like, yeah, no, we do. That's cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's crazy.
I thought Ari Sr. gave off a pretty good vibe during that last episode.
Yeah.
So.
He did. Yeah.
So get in emails if you want to, write us something that's longer than a tweet, basically. thebachelorpod@gmail.com. And we say this at the end of the episode every time, but people probably skip it. You can also go to our website, thebachelorpod.ca, and see all kinds of stuff there.
There's it's fun. It's weird. We're at the end of another season. Bachelorette returns. I think it's May 28th. Something along those lines. So we got a little bit of time, bit of break here for the Bachelor Pod. Everyone's got a chance to refuel, get excited about Beccack.
Yeah.
Beccack.
Who, by the way, was the winner of our triple pool. I was the only one who picked her.
Yes, you won.
Ooh,
I win.
Good job.
He was number 3. Next season, of course, we're going to institute our new dark horse policy.
New dark horse
to
rules.
Erase any confusion on what a dark horse is.
What's the new dark horse policy?
We've told you already a bunch of times. it's that we'll all pick our top 3, and then when you pick your dark horse, you can't pick someone as a dark horse that someone else has already chosen. And you were for sure okay with it the first bunch of times.
Then we have to pull out of a hat who gets to pick first.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that's fine.
The only way it's fair.
That's fine.
Also, how old is Jennifer Aniston? Let's get
I think we've even done Jennifer Aniston before.
No, we haven't.
Okay.
45, 42.
Okay. 49.
Wow. Almost 50.
Holy
wow.
Shit.
Hey, I'm going to throw Courtney Cox at you. What do you think?
Friends edition. Courtney Cox. Well, if Jennifer Aniston's 49, Courtney.
I'm going to guess 51.
I'm going to guess 52.
53.
I $1 you there, Glenn.
Right.
I $1 you big time.
Yeah, you did.
And Lisa Kudrow.
55.
54.
Woo! Closest without going over.
Okay, now someone do the boys.
Okay, I'll do. Okay, yeah. Okay, guys, let's do David Schwimmer. Friends edition.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 55.
I'll dollar you and go 56.
It is 51. You're both over.
Oh.
Price is Right rules, but Sarah wins if we're not. Okay, what about Matt LeBlanc?
I'm going to go again with my 50. Glenn, you go this time.
Okay, I'll go 56.
Ooh, almost.
I can go 54.
Dude, he's 50 years old, exactly. 50 years old.
Oh, they're younger. The boys are younger.
And Matthew Perry, though. Here we go.
Okay, well, I got to go. I feel like he was a little older. I'll go. Well, Sarah, you go first. I went first last time.
54.
Okay, I'll go. I think he might be 55.
You think Perry's older than Schwimmer and Cox and LeBlanc? Yeah. You think he's the oldest of the bunch? You're all wrong. He is the youngest of the bunch at 48.
Oh,
wow.
Okay, now it's time for Guest Stars edition.
Okay, great.
So let's go with Giovanni Ribisi.
Ooh, Ribisi. Giovanni Ribisi.
I'm going to say 42.
It's a good age there, Sarah. I'm going to say 44.
You both. Well, Sarah wins 43.
Oh,
good guessing.
Yeah, close.
Let's go with Brad Pitt himself.
Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt's got to be 50.
You go first.
2.
I'm going to say 55. I think.
54.
Ooh, Sarah.
Ooh.
Okay, let's go Hank Azaria.
Oh, yeah. He's that guy who Phoebe dated. Hank Azaria, hey? Got to be around the same age, but I'm going to say he's like 40. Let's go same age as Matthew Perry, 48.
I'm going to say he's like 57.
Whoa.
53.
Ooh.
Okay, and the final one, the guy who played Gunther.
Oh, man, I was going to do that one. The guy who played Gunther. Oh, man. That's tough. Gunther, I guess, was probably around the same age as them. I'm going to say, Sarah, you want to go first on this one?
49.
I'm going to dollar you on this one. 50.
55.
Yeah.
And
Whoa! Well, one of the oldest.
Yeah, one of the
it's
oldest.
kind of interesting that they're all within like 6-7
Yeah.
years. So yeah, I think that concludes the age guessing game.
Friends
for this
edition,
season.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
I like that. Well, we're gonna keep guessing next season for sure.
I have one more kind of game for you
Oh,
guys.
okay.
Sure.
What do you think the horrible thing ABC will do in next season? What do you think they'll do? What gross shit will they pull this time?
Off the top of my head, they're definitely gonna play up the angle that she got
Yeah.
dumped, and that's
Yeah.
gonna come up a million times. So if anything, it'll be like that. Maybe the guys aren't into her or something at the end. I don't know.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty crazy.
I would be surprised if they bring that fucker back, her ex.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
That'd be interesting. A lot of people are hoping that Peter will come back as a contestant.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That'd be awesome.
I wouldn't be surprised about that, unless obviously Peter's like dating somebody right now, which I don't think he is.
Right.
The Bachelor subreddit really goes nuts about him. They really love him a lot.
Yeah.
I think
Bachelorettes went nuts about him this
Yeah.
season. Well, in
That's true.
season.
I think that boyfriend, bringing back her ex-boyfriend, would be a massive, massive boner. Like, that would be such a brutal move. So I can definitely see them doing it. They already did it once. Why not do it again? Yeah, or like Nick Viall once again. Get him back in there.
Ooh, Viall.
I can see it happening.
What do you think, Benoit? You just walked in. What do you
I
think?
think you gotta get another French Canadian in there, eh? But not Benoit. I am happily engaged to my longtime wife and fiance, Claire.
You guys haven't put up any pictures of being together since you got engaged. What's up
It is
with
a
that?
real engagement. In Quebec, we don't like to post too many pictures
You've been posting pictures.
of
That's crazy.
of
You just none
an
of-
engagement. She is a fiancée, so we do not like to show it too much. It's like bragging
Oh,
for
I've
those
never-
of you who are not married. You know, I don't know if whatever is happening with you or whatever.
So Benoit, obviously you and Claire, the wedding, you're gonna have to, a little bit of her tradition, a little bit of yours. What is the French Canadian tradition that you're gonna bring to the wedding that we can look out for?
So happy
Yeah.
to tell you. Okay, so in a regular wedding, like a regular English wedding, right? The bride, she walked down in a beautiful dress. Okay, but in a Quebec wedding, you are baked into a tortillere and you pop out of it, covered in ground beef and spices.
Ooh.
For all you who don't know, a tortillere is a traditional meat pie made
Yes.
of ground meat and spices. Quite good.
I would just like, what's something Benoit gets mad about, and what does he sound like when he's angry?
Oh, God.
I got a way to rile him up. 2 words. Noah Cap.
Oh, that Noah Cap. I hate him so much. He is banned from my wedding. He will never meet my wife. I hate him so much.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Benoit. We hope you come
Thanks,
back
Benoit.
next season. We'll be back. in
Wait,
May.
au revoir.
Yeah.
Bye.
Who do we think's gonna be a Bachelor in Paradise? This is honestly my last question. Who do we think?
Of this season, like of this cast, or
Yeah.
just in
I think
general?
you'll see
Well, I think-
basically all those women who were on the thing tonight.
Yeah,
or
I think
the
so
other night.
too. I think Beckham is a guarantee. I think Caroline guarantee. I don't know about
I
CN
guess
and
I think
Kendall.
CN and Kendall are right up there too. I think they like them so much. They really like them.
Yeah, I think the guy from Australia might be there.
That's right. We're seeing
I
some.
can't wait
We're
to
seeing
see
some internationals, right?
Ah, God, I want more Canadians. I want more of everything.
Is there anyone? Yeah. Okay.
Canadians
Here's the
do
thing.
we
So
think?
they took Kevin and Benoit, and now they're both taken. Are there any other men that they can call on
Dean.
from the Canadian Bachelorette, from Jasmine's season of the Canadian Bachelorette?
Speaking of which, I saw Brad at a food court
Who's
yesterday,
Brad?
and this is a good story actually. I think there's this new like haute
Brad?
couture
Who's Brad?
food hall from Bachelor Canada. He was the Bachelor.
Oh,
Brad.
right, that guy. Yeah,
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 His
yeah.
name. So there's this new fancy food court in Toronto, and he's an
Yes.
investor in one of the stands. And he was there yesterday when Liv and I went. And Liv went up to go. She didn't know he was there, but she went to go buy a Coke from this one stand because she forgot to get it at the stand she actually bought the food from. And he gave it to her for free and said, what was it? Something like, "Hey, just take it. Just be nice to someone today."
Oh, well, that's nice.
So he charged her being nice to
wow.
someone.
That's nice.
I think he could be it. I think he's the guy who was like the real estate guy on the motorcycle, right?
No, that's a different guy. Brad's the guy. He like played in the CFL or something.
Oh, he was on Chopped. He was the host of Chopped.
That guy, right? Host of Chopped Canada,
Canada.
He could definitely be on it, but I think he might be on it. But who
Nice.
think
he's got
could
this food
Yeah,
business.
he was. Remember, he was at that charity event your brother took us to, Sarah.
yeah, that's right. He was on it. I do think the last Bachelor could for sure be on it because he didn't pick anybody. That was the big thing that happened.
I don't even remember.
Remember Mike?
Yeah.
Remember Mike from Winnipeg?
Tim Wormels.
Tim Wormels, yeah.
Tim Wormels, he might do it. He's a handsome dude. I did see him at an audition sitting on the floor reading a book.
Oh yeah.
So did see him at a lower level.
He's got no spice. This guy's he's got no spice. That guy's not good enough for Bachelor in Paradise, I think.
What about the little stinker? The little stinker named Dean. Drew.
Yeah, Drew's a little stinker. He would be good in there. They got a lot of little stinkers they can choose from, though, right?
Yeah.
But I think he would be pretty good, actually. How about our boy? How about our boy Eddie?
Oh no, not Eddie. Upside down alien face.
Oh man.
Eddie, if none of our American listeners know, we called him upside down face because, well, his face looks upside down. Looks like aliens placed it together and they're like, this is a human, and they just screwed it up a bit.
Yeah.
Not very
just
nice.
not nice.
He didn't I don't even know if he lasted.
Eddie did not make it past the first episode, no.
We will not be seeing Eddie in Paradise, but if we do, we're going to make fun of him again, because that's what we do.
I'm sure we're.
You know who I want to be on it, but he has a girlfriend, is Jasmine's the guy that she didn't choose. What's his name? Oh, Mikkel is a
Mikkel would be a really great, would be really good.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, he would be good.
Funny.
They've got to have a Canadian, right? They have to have a Canadian. But but I'm thinking they might go with one of the women from the season. We'll see. Anyways, but they'll definitely pick someone. Yeah. If Mike Ogilvy isn't dating someone, I think they should try and get him. Ooh. He was great. Yeah. We liked him a lot. Remember him? Yeah. I met a friend of his when I was shooting a web series that I did there. Anyways. Yeah.
Neat.
Okay, well, guys, that's it. That's it for this season. Thank you very much for listening. Like Glenn said, we'll be back for Bachelorette and Backak. If you're tired of us saying Backak, sorry, we're going to say it a lot more. And it's been a pleasure for all of our patrons interacting with us, of course, on Twitter, and all of you who are listening and watching on YouTube. Thank you very, very much. So for another season 11 of the Bachelor Pod, we're all saying goodbye. Bye.
Bye.
If you want to contact us, you can reach out to us on social media. We're at The Bachelor Pod on Twitter, and individually, we're at Andy Holbone,
at Glenn McCauley,
at Olivia McCauley, at the Sarah Hillier. That's @ THESARAHHILIER.
If you want to support the show directly, you can go to patreon.com/thebachelorpod and donate there. Otherwise, we're thebachelorpod@gmail.com for an email, and thebachelorpod.ca. That's our website.